All right, freedom fighters, lovers of freedom. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Now, straight to the point. Simon Ekpa don scatter everywhere. Simon Ekpa don scatter everywhere. This broadcast I'm about to play now will bust your bubbles. This broadcast I'm about to play now is a broadcast that will make you understand the movement and the importance of what we are fighting for. This broadcast I'm about to play now that Simon Ekpa did earlier today, this particular broadcast is shaking everywhere. Both the Nigerian Senate, both the barracks, different barracks in Southeast are now shaking. This man is a fearless human being. This man is ready to take this Biafra agitation to the next level. He's doing a lot. He's just like a messiah to the people of Igbo land. So just relax and listen to this broadcast I'm about to share now. Then you will understand how important it is come 2nd of December, how the Biafran declaration will look like. Because everybody is tired. The Tinubu government keeps sinking. And the Tinubu government will continue sinking. Now please, listen to this broadcast I'm about to share now. Then you share your opinions in the comment section. Now listen to what Simon Ekpa said.
And respect the treaties that you signed into law as a country and as a state. Any country without rule of law, any country that does not respect constitution, that country is bound to fail. And that's why Nigeria has failed. Nigeria has no rule of law. Nigeria does not respect its so-called constitution. Nigeria does not respect any treaty that they have signed into law. Nigeria does not respect the United Nations Convention on Human Rights. Nigeria does not respect any agreement whatsoever they are into. And so that is the reason for the anarchy. That is the reason for the insecurity. Apart from the Islamic State agenda, this is the backbone of the insecurity today in Nigeria. That's why Nigeria has become ungovernable and Nigeria has become a failed state, because they do not have the rule of law and they do not respect their own law, not to talk of treaties they are assented to. Biafra will provide a solution. One of the solutions is we will abide by these rules and norms of international treaties and convention that we will be ratifying through the convention in Finland. So, what is the working group that gave Nigeria ultimatum to release Mazen and Kanu that they kidnapped from Kenya, extraordinarily rendition to Nigeria under torture, inhumane treatment, degrading treatment, and what have you? The working group has the mandate to investigate cases of deprivation of liberty imposed arbitrarily and inconsistently with international standard set forth in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights or international instrument accepted by the state concerned. That is what this working group is all about. The working group investigates alleged cases of arbitrary detention, like in the case of thousands of Biafrans, including Mazen Kanu. They do this by sending urgent appeal and communications to concerned government, just like they have done to Nigeria, to clarify and or bring the attention of these cases, which they did to Nigeria. They gave Nigeria 6 months. The working group also considers individual complaint. So as you are, like those families that Nigeria have killed, murdered their relative, they can also individually file complaint directly to this particular group.
Welcome to the Home Talk Podcast, proudly powered by Bet Niger, your home of Bet Boom. Interesting segments. If you're a football lover, if you are a punter, you would love it here. Great minds on the panel with me, and this episode, I am very certain that this is where everywhere will be green. We'll wake up to boom, and we'll look back and say, We are made for this. Ladies and gentlemen, by my immediate right is a man whose name would cause an earthquake in Africa when it comes to sports analysis. Toby Samuel! Baba, you are welcome, sir.
Yeah, I did.
I appreciate you.
But this energy too much, man.
Baba, you will keep the energy there now. Wake up to boom. Ladies and gentlemen, by my immediate right is the man who is an inspiration to the man who is an inspiration to millions. Our very own Nigerian Ojodu Fabrizio Romano. Puja!
Oh, sarcastic.
Papa Gbalaga. And yes, the big man, Shags Olumo, Shags, welcome, Baba.
What's good? Excited to be back.
Excited to be back. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember, Bet Naija is not playing on the level of these small boys. Now, you can win up to 200 million naira. Yes, the payout. Bet Naija look and say, we tell people to dream. Why 50 million? Why 100 million? 200 million? So wake up and start pursuing your dreams. Go on www.betnaija.com. See stake your games and you go chop. Now Bet Naija the runner.
Get explosive on at random. Introducing Bet Boom. Under its regular communication procedure, leading to the adoption of opinions. So when you file this complaint, they give opinions. As to the arbitrariness of this detention, in addition, the working group conduct country visit to assess the situation of deprivation of liberty in the country. That is the primary objective of this working group on arbitrary detention that gave Nigeria 6 months to release Nnamdi Kanu, and also fine Nigeria to compensate Nnamdi Kanu monetarily. Nigeria violated this opinion of the working group, which is a direct violation of the United Nations Charter on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which Nigeria also assented and signed into their own law and accepted. They will abide by these rules and regulation that makes you stand firm in the Committee of Nations. So any country that is violating this kind of laws with impunity have lost every legitimacy, including within the United Nations. And this same Nigeria was at the UN General Assembly seeking to become a permanent member. A permanent member of organization that you violate their own laws and treaties. My fellow Biafrans, I just want you to have a little background knowledge about what I'm about to explain this evening, why Biafra is bringing an alternative, not just by ratifying the United Nations International Human Rights Treaties at the convention in Finland, but also making sure that we abide by these laws and treaties to make sure we restore peace and order, because that is the only pathway to peace and order in the entire region. Any country that is violating this right with impunity is bringing anarchy, and that is the reason why there is a lot of anarchy in Nigeria, because they do not respect the rule of law. They are nomadic, they are Islamic State. The only agenda is Islamic agenda. I will also need to inform you that many Islamic countries did not assent to some of these human rights treaties. And that's exactly the direction Nigeria is going. Or they are already in that direction.
São Tomé is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And the people here will all...
Oh, they are already in that direction. So Biafra is an alternative to restore peace and stability in the Sahel and beyond. My fellow Biafrans that are listening to me today, I want you to understand that there are some of these, at least you are going to hear from me, some of these international human rights treaties of the United Nations that Biafra government will be rectifying during the convention of the Biafra in Finland. My fellow Biafrans, you may need to understand the concept of these treaties and what it bounds to do. What are the indicators of these treaties, which will become one of the backbone of the Biafra government as we pursue the recognition of the government of Biafra after the convention, after the declaration of the restoration of independence of Biafra, and we have formed a legal document from the convention, and this ratification of treaties will form a major part of the document that the Biafra government will form during the convention in Finland. So the indicator referred to as a state, that consent, a state consent to be bound by the human rights treaties under international law. So when you as a state consent to this international treaty, you are bound. You are bound by those treaties to make sure that you stand by that treaties, and by doing so, you restore peace and stability in your country and in your region. The reason for the insecurity today, apart from the kidnap of Mazin and Kano, Nigeria violated that particular treaty. They did not bound by it. So what is the rationale? When a state ratifies one of the international human rights treaty, it assumes a legal obligation to implement the right recognized in that treaty. Do you understand the word? When a state ratifies, like Nigeria ratifies this law, Nigeria, if it's supposed to be a country, under international human rights treaty, Nigeria assumes legal obligation, obliged to implement the rights recognized in that treaty. And what are these rights? Do not commit the crime of kidnapping people. Do not commit the crime of arbitrarily detaining people. Do not commit the crime of torturing people. Do not commit the crime of depriving people their liberty. Nigeria have committed all this crime against Biafra people, especially Mazin and Kano. And they are still standing on this crime that if heaven is going to fall, let it fall. That's where we are today. We are still settling the matter. Now, through ratification, states undertake to put in place domestic measures and legislation compatible with their treaty obligation. The state also commit to submitting regular report on how the rights are being implemented to the monitoring committee set up under the treaty. Now, how can Nigeria now submit a report on how they are implementing this right, which they signed into, by arbitrarily detaining Mazin and detaining thousands of Biafrans illegally? So they are going to write a report that, Biafrans are agitating, so we catch them, we kidnap some of them, we distribute them to different parts of northern Nigeria, and they are not going to court. As a matter of fact, we have thousands of Biafrans inside the prison, and there is no trial, and some of them have been there for 20 years. And they will write, is that the report they're going to write to the United Nations? In accordance with the treaty Nigeria signed? The answer is no. They can't even write the report. Not to talk of writing what they are doing. So Biafra is coming to ratify these particular treaties and provide solution and alternative to Nigeria. That's what we're doing, to make sure we safeguard the life of our people, and no sane human being can have a contrary opinion or go against Biafra becoming a nation, in order to restore peace and stability in the entire Sahel region by following this particular rules and regulation of the international law. So you see, the reason we are sacrificing everything, taking the risk we are taking, is for humanity. So everybody can at least enjoy some level of peace. Now, this particular concept of the international treaties mandate the state to also commit to submitting regular report on how the rights are being implemented to the monitoring committee set up under the treaty. Who are this committee? The working group is part of the committee set up by this particular treaty. The committee that have mandated Nigeria to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, not only Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, but his own case is more of, getting an international attention. Now, this committee, Nigeria, for ratifying this particular treaty, is mandated to submit a report to this committee that they are snubbed, violated their own ultimatum with impunity. So which face would Nigeria use to challenge the Biafra government when we are here to say enough is enough with your impunity, enough is enough with your supporting of terrorism? We are not even talking about them funding terrorism, giving them guns and arms to fight and kill indigenous people to take over their land in the name of Islamic State. We are not even talking about that yet. We are talking about only the arbitrary detention of innocent citizens, so-called innocent citizens, arbitrary detention of those who were exercising their right protected under this United Nations Treaty. That is what we are still addressing. We are not addressing their terrorism and how they are killing the people, extrajudicial killings and all that. No, we are only talking about this particular detention of innocent people. How Nigeria violates this law with impunity that lead to the anarchy that you see today. Because the solution to prevent anarchy, to prevent instability, has been laid down in all these principles and treaties that we are going to assent to. And once you begin to violate it, you are opening and creating a loophole for anarchy to come in, because people are going to resist you. When you violate people's rights, using gun and bullet, think you can use them to suppress them for a long time? No, at a point they will fight back. And that is why I am leading the fighting back against Nigeria today. And I will stand anywhere, anytime in the world to defend how I am leading the pushback to fight against the terrorist state of Nigeria with our guns and bullets. What is the concept of this treaty? A state party to a treaty is a state that has expressed consent by an act of ratification, accession, or succession, and where the treaty has entered into force, or a state about to become a party after formal reception by the United Nations Secretary of the state decision to be a party. A signatory to a treaty is a state that provided a preliminary endorsement of the instrument and its intent to examine the treaty domestically and consider ratifying it. No action means that the state did not express its consent. Nigeria expressed its consent in ratifying these treaties that they are now violating, and Biafra is the only alternative to bring to an end to the impunity. No, so my brother Biafra people, I want to quickly inform the entire Biafra people some of the international human rights treaty under the United Nations that Biafra government will ratify through the convention in Finland on the 2nd of December. I want to inform you, we are not only declaring the restoration of Biafra on the 2nd of December, but we are also ratifying the United Nations International Human Rights Treaties and become party to these treaties to abide by these rules and regulations in order to restore peace and stability. Nigeria have not done that for decades. We are going to provide that solution. So, on this note, the Biafra people will gather in the convention alongside with many observers that will be coming from all over the world to observe the convention of the Biafra government, both in the homeland and in diaspora in exile. On that day, Biafra will ratify the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, which was adopted in 1965. On the 2nd of December 2024, as we declare the restoration of the sovereign state of Biafra, Biafra will ratify the United Nations International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which was found in 1966. My fellow Biafrans and the good people of the world that are listening and are very, very sympathetic to the cause of Biafra people, I want you to understand that Biafra will be the beginning of civilization in Africa. We have suffered enough. Our people have been killed, and those who made it alive today should go and thank their God that they are alive to witness this particular history that we are making in this generation. On the 2nd of December 2024, that historic day, Biafra will ratify the United Nations International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. My fellow Biafrans, I want you to understand what we are doing. For those who think that this is a joke, you will understand after 2nd of December. My fellow Biafrans, on 2nd of December, the Biafra government will ratify and assent to the United Nations Convention Against Torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment, which came into force in 1984. On the 2nd of December 2024, Biafra government will assent and rectify the United Nations Convention on the Right of Child, which came into force in 1989. We are laying this foundation for those who do not understand how Biafra will restore stability in the entire region, to understand that only by the rule of law that sanity will return to the region of the West Africa, largest resources. On the 2nd of December 2024, during the convention that will shape the history of Africa, Biafra government will assent and rectify the United Nations International Convention on the Protection of Rights of all migrant workers and members of their families, which came into force in 1990. My fellow Biafrans, on the 2nd of December, we are not just only declaring the restoration of independence state of Biafra to raise a legal document, but we are also assenting as a government, ratifying the United Nations International Convention for Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance. Today, Nigeria is known for enforcing the disappearance of those who criticize it, who criticize the government, those who criticize the leaders, those who criticize officials. They enforce their disappearance. Just a few days ago, we listened to one of the lawmakers bragging to a taxi driver how he can make him disappear and nobody will talk about it anymore. It happens. Thousands of people have disappeared as a result of them criticizing the government officials. While Nigeria was party to this treaty, they encourage and use their law enforcement agencies to violate it. Biafra is bringing alternative. How can you come against the Biafra government?
Let me ask you a question.
What Biafra government? We are people that embrace the future and innovation. So we are going to abide by this international covenant, international law, and international treaty, making sure that it is a pathway to restore peace and stability. On the 2nd of December 2024, the Biafra government will not only declare the restoration of independence of Biafra to restore peace and stability in the Sahel region, but we are also going to assent and ratify the Convention on the Right of Persons with Disability. My fellow Biafrans, on the 2nd of December, when you hear them say December 2nd will come, a lot is going to happen that day. It's going to be one of the most important days in the history of humankind. The Biafra government, during this convention on the 2nd of December, will ratify and assent to the United Nations optional protocol to the Covenant of Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. My fellow Biafrans, on that same day, 2nd of December, the Biafra government will also ratify and assent up to the optional protocol to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. My fellow Biafra people and the lovers of freedom across the world, we are solidifying the legal document that will form the pathway to the recognition of the Biafra as a government, as a state, and then also to bring in lasting peace to the already deteriorating security situation in the Sahel and in the region of the eastern part of Nigeria called Biafra. My fellow Biafrans, on the 2nd of December, the Biafra government will be ratifying and assenting to the United Nations second optional protocol to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. And our aim is the abolition of the death penalty. This particular convention aiming at the abolition of death penalty, Biafra government will assent and ratify this treaty. In Finland, where I live, which we have taken models from the constitution and many structures of the government, we do not have death penalty. And here, everybody is enjoying, and the government is working for the people. Crime rate is very low. My fellow Biafran, on the 2nd of December, the Biafra government, during the convention, will ratify and assent to the United Nations optional protocol to the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, which came into force in 1999. The Biafra government will ratify and assent to this convention and treaty. My fellow Biafra, the Biafra government, under my leadership as a Prime Minister, during the convention in Finland on the 2nd of December 2024, will also ratify and assent to the United Nations optional protocol to the Convention on the Right of the Child on the involvement of children in armed conflict. We will ratify this treaty and abide by it. Not like the Nigeria terrorist state are doing in the northern Nigeria. On this 2nd of December 2024, as we declare raising a document for the restoration of independence of Biafra, the Biafra government will ratify and consent to the United Nations Optional Protocol to the Convention on the Right of Child, on the Sales of Children, Child Prostitution, and child pornography. Like under Nigeria, these are not crimes. While Nigeria assent and sign into these particular treaties, they do not even know the value. They do not know the value in the society. They do not know how it helped to shape society to become a better society like you have in Europe. Like one of the criminals in IPOB, Nigeria, was surprised why Simon Ekpa is making all these utterances in the name of Party Biafra and nobody is disturbing him. But his uncle shared a nude of a child in Germany, and he has been in the court for the past 5 years. As a Nigerian criminal, this man does not understand that sharing any child pornography is a serious crime. And there is where that particular law was derived from. Under this particular treaty, under the United Nations, the optional protocol to the Convention on the Right of the Child, on the Sales of Children, and child prostitution and child pornography. He didn't know it's a crime because he is a product of Nigeria. So Nigeria does not respect international law, and that is the reason, that's one of the reasons that are anarchy, insecurity, and all manner of atrocities in Nigeria, and they do not see most of these things as crime. So they come to Europe, they commit these crimes, and they are wondering why police is after them. We will ratify these laws, teach the people what is right and wrong, and make our society a sane and more saner place to live. My fellow Biafrans, on the 2nd of December, alongside other dignitaries that will embrace our convention all over the world, they will witness and observe the Biafra government assent and ratifying the United Nations Optional Protocol to the Convention on the Right of Child on a communication procedure. We will also, on that 2nd of December, ratify the United Nations Optional Protocol on the Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhuman, and Degrading Treatment or Punishment. The Biafra government will not only do consent